Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my first impressions look on the Anta GH5, and a lot of comments, right? So I posted a picture of the GH5 and I also saw some other comments on other posts and people were like, why does Gordon Hayward have a signature shoe? I mean, I don't know guys, but he's had an amazing signature shoe line. Surprisingly. And if you guys didn't know, Anta is actually a very large shoe company or athletics company in China, and they make absolutely amazing performing hoop shoes. And if you guys didn't know, they actually signed with Kyrie Irving, or Kyrie Irving signed with Anta, and they also have some other players as well, like Klay Thompson and also Dante DiVincenzo. And this is definitely one of my favorite hoop shoes of this year. The Zap one is absolutely amazing. Kai one is absolutely amazing. And also they have the Shockwave 5 Pro, which is like Kyrie Irving's shoe before the Kai 1, right? He was wearing this shoe before he had the Kai 1, right? So Anta actually makes some amazing hoop shoes, and also the signature shoe before this, the GH4, was also an amazing performer. Definitely underrated, definitely a sleeper, right? So this shoe is actually pretty cheap as well. It only goes for 110 bucks on Femuji. So if you guys do want to comp it, try to leave a link in the description box. I mean, you're getting full length N2 foam and carbon fiber for 110 bucks, which is absolutely insane. They have this colorway available, which is the gamer colorway, which is really dope, right? So look, right there, it's like basically all white, but with some red and blue accents for both the left and right pairs of the shoe. And there's also another colorway available, and it's the video game colorway, but honestly, I like this one the best, right? But anyways, let's get it started right off with the tracciones, and the traction is pretty dang interesting as far as the pattern goes, right? So it kind of reminds me of like smear traction, just a tiny bit from like the Kyrie 8, the Zoom GT Cut 2, you know? And also the Zap 1. The Zap 1 kind of looked like that a little bit as well, with the really deep grooves. But this is a little bit different, right? It's a very large or enlarged herringbone traction pattern, right? Going like this throughout the entire outsole with some very thick lines, right? And then within those thick lines, we have some more grooves, which is pretty interesting. So they're saying this was specifically made for lateral movements, but how does the traction feel? It feels really bad. You know, that's something that I was pretty sad about because I mean, first of all, the Gordon Hayward signature shoe line, all of his shoes have had amazing traction, right? And also pretty much all of Anta's hoop shoes, like the Zap 1, amazing traction, right? The Kai 1, really nice consistent traction once you break it in, right? The Shockwave 5 Pro and Shockwave 5 was really nice, just picked up a good amount of dust. KT9 also super duper nice. So I don't know what it is, but just trying it on my wood floors, the bite is not good, right? It's just sliding around a good amount, but of course it's just my wood floor, so that doesn't mean anything, right? It could be a little bit different once I break it in, or maybe it'll just stay bad. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try these on and actually break them in and also play in it, of course. But right now, just for my first impressions on my wood floors, the bite doesn't seem that good. And also another thing that I don't like about it is that it's not squeaky, right? Of course, squeak has nothing to do with performance, but I like to have a nice little squeak, you know? I feel like most hoopers like to have that as well. But yeah, this is totally silent, which kind of sucks as well. And durability also is kind of interesting, right? So the smaller grooves on the big grooves, the rubber is actually quite soft. So I feel like that'll rub or kind of like rip off pretty easily. But like the thicker grooves, I feel like, I mean, it'll be probably good for outdoor use, right? So yeah, the traction is a little bit disappointing. And also in the middle of the outsole, we can see a midfoot shank plate, right? It's plastic here. It's this gray color, right? Coming from the lateral side all the way into the medial side, but also we have carbon fiber, and segueing into heel to toe transition. Overall, it does feel pretty dang smooth, right? So here in the heel is actually like, look at this crazy heel shape, right? It's super curved, which feels really nice, right? That shape really helps to move that energy from the heel and transition it to the forefoot, right? But also you can see how much it's caged as far as the foam goes, right? Like I said, it was using full length N2 foam, which is super duper nice, but it's super duper caged. But the cage is actually kind of soft, which we'll get into. But yeah, so the heel is kind of soft, and then coming here into the forefoot, we got a crazy rocker shape. And also another thing that I like about it is that I'm not sure if the carbon fiber is full length. It's really hard to get tech specs for this shoe for some reason. Like Femuji doesn't really have anything, and I tried to check Anta's actual website, and tech specs weren't even that good, you know? So it just says carbon fiber. It doesn't say if it's full length or anything, but I'm guessing it's not, because it bends pretty easily, especially right here. So I'm guessing the carbon fiber is just like a midfoot carbon fiber shank plate, right? But it does have a nice little kind of rebound back a little bit, but for the most part, it's actually quite flexible, right? So that feels pretty dang nice. So overall heel to toe transition feels pretty dang smooth. And now moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup is a little bit disappointing. I'm gonna just say it right off the bat. I mean, like I said, I haven't played in these yet, so we'll have to see how it breaks in and if it gets softer or bouncier. But like comparing it to all of Anta's shoes that use full length N2 foam, which is pretty much all of their hoop shoes, this is, I feel like, the worst, right? So the Kai 1, you guys already know, full length N2 foam. You can see look at how thick it is here on the medial side, right? And then on the lateral side, this is just EVA, I believe, but it's actually really soft. There's a lot of compression, and also it's using a soft mesh strobel board, right? So the Kai 1, soft mesh strobel board. Same thing with the Zap 1. The Zap 1, the N2 foam isn't as thick, but it is using full length N2 foam, and we have a good amount of compression here in the heel, and it's using a soft mesh strobel board. So the step and comfort is really soft still, right? And then same thing with the Shockwave 5. The Shockwave 5 actually has a lot of caging, and this is a really stiff plastic, so there's actually no compression here in the heel, but it's using a really soft mesh strobel board. It's like, I feel like softer than the Kai 1 and Zap 1, right? So it's like, it's really soft right underneath your foot. But then the GH5 for the cushioning setup, I definitely feel like they try to stiffen it up way more than the Zap 1, the Kai 1, and the Shockwave 5 Pro, right? So like I mentioned before, it's using full-length N2 foam. We can see the full-length N2 foam here exposed on the medial side here in the midfoot. But like I said, it's hella caged. Look at how caged it is, right? Here in the heel, all throughout the lateral side as well. But also, like I said, the cage is actually kind of soft. It reminds me a little bit of the Wild 10 caging, right? So there's actually a little bit of compression, which feels kind of nice. And because of this cage, I feel like it might actually add a little bit of bounce, which I think is a little bit better than the Shockwave 5. The Shockwave 5 and the Shockwave 5 Pro, this is just super duper stiff, right? So that's, I feel like a little bit of an improvement, right? And also comparing it to all the other shoes on this table, like all the Anta shoes, this has the best court feel like the Shockwave 5. The Shockwave 5 and the GH5 pretty much have the same court feel. You're pretty much right on top of the ground, right? The Zap 1, I would say, is a little bit worse, and then the Kai 1 is a little bit higher up off the ground than the Zap 1. So I would say like the court feel is good, right? But then looking at the strobel board is actually a little bit disappointing, right? So if you guys didn't know, I really like soft mesh strobel boards, right? And all the shoes are using it on this table, the Shockwave 5 Pro, the Zap 1, and the Kai 1, which makes the stepping comfort extremely comfortable, right? Right underneath your foot, in the heel, and also in the forefoot. You have a good amount of compression. And also the N2 foam, once you get going, has a nice subtle bounce to it, right? But the GH5, we actually have a pretty normal looking strobel board. It actually is quite soft, however, right? So if you press it with your finger, there is a good amount of, like, a little bit of a give to it, which does feel nice. Obviously, it's not as soft as a soft mesh strobel board, so I haven't played in it, of course, but just walking around in it, it doesn't feel as soft as like the Kai 1, the Zap 1, and the Shockwave 5 Pro, right? But I do feel like, you know, once I start playing in it and start, you know, running and sprinting and jumping in it, it might actually be a little bit bouncier because of the stiffer strobel board. Maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see on how it breaks in, but like I said, it's a little bit of a disappointment. So I would say it has like pretty much the worst cushion out of all of these, right? But I guess it's the most responsive, but you know, all these cushioning setups are very responsive, but with better impact protection, softer, you know, step and comfort, and a little bit more bounce, it feels like so far, and with compression here in the heel. So I mean, there's the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So the upper is actually pretty interesting as well. It is dual layered. So in this colorway, we can see this blue, right? Or I guess on the left shoe and on the right shoe, it's red. But underneath that, it's kind of like a mesh material, right? And then over that, we have this really thin, pretty much see-through, kind of like TPU strand type of material, right? Look at how open it is, right? As far as the airflow goes, it's really good, right? So here in the toe box, here on the medial side, it's really thin. It conforms to your foot extremely well. Overall, it does feel pretty supportive, but it doesn't feel like it'll be the most durable upper, right? Also, around the toe box, we do have a layer of fuse as well, and also another material, right? You can see another white material and then another fuse. So that'll be good for toe drags and also improving the durability. And then here, like at the tip of the toe, there's a little bit of plastic, you know? So obviously that'll be really good for toe drags if you do a lot of toe drags. So I feel like it'll be pretty good. For durability, it's just this part right here in the middle worries me, but it's not like a high wear area or anything, so it should be fine, right? And then here in the midfoot, it doesn't even feel like that glued down, right? It's extremely thin still. And then here in the back of the shoe, right here in the heel area, we have this pretty dang nice textile material with this really cool pattern on it. And also it's glow in the dark, which is awesome, right? It's amazing for quality. That's a really nice touch. For the tongue, we actually have like an average amount of padding. It does feel pretty nice and plush on top of your foot. It's also a half-weighted construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And it's pretty much this mesh material, right? You can see, I don't know if you guys can see my finger through it, right? It's this mesh material that's connected to the tongue. It's the half-weighted construction tongue. Now also in the ankle area, like on the sides, there's very minimal padding. But we do have like an Achilles pad, like right in the back of the heel. We have this really nice padded material which feels really comfortable on the Achilles. Also, it does cup in a good amount, so that'll of course be good for a heel lockdown. So yeah, for 110 bucks, the material quality feels great. I love how minimal this upper feels as well. It also does feel pretty dang supportive, and the overall upper feels supportive and the overall shoe does feel supportive, so that's great. Now moving on to the fit, I went true to size and this shoe fits me absolutely amazingly. However, it is just a tiny bit narrow, right? It's squeezing the side of my foot, like my pinky toe, a little bit. It's not uncomfortable or anything, and I feel like I'll like it when I hoop in it, but just walking around, it's just a little tight here. So if you don't like that, probably go up half a size, but if you do like a nice snug fit, then go true to size. Like I said, it's very snug here in the toe box as well. Lengthwise, my toes go pretty much right to the edge of the shoe. And pretty much all of Anta's shoes, I went true to size and they all fit me extremely well and extremely snug, right? So there's the fit there. Moving on to support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, I mean, look at the lateral counters, right? So we can see this cage, right? The cage is a cushion, of course, but also comes up to act as a sidewall for lateral support, right? It does come up a little bit right here in the forefoot, here in the midfoot. It just goes along the entire lateral side of the shoe, and also here in the heel, and it seems like there's an internal TPU heel counter, so lateral containment I feel like will be good. You know, I don't think I'm gonna have any issues with that. Also, I do like the Anta logo here in the back, right? That's pretty cool with this metallic type finish to it, and also this kind of like emblem in the back of the shoe as well with Gordon Hayward's logo. But anyways, also lateral stability, look at this. Look at how freaking wide this shoe is. Look at how crazy that outrigger is. So lateral stability is probably gonna be good as well. So overall lockdown is probably gonna be very good, right? Just like in the GH4, the GH4 had that crazy lacing system, which kind of like locked your laces in place, which is absolutely amazing. Obviously in the GH5, they don't have that, but I feel like the lockdown and also overall support, it feels pretty good so far, right? And then moving on to the weight of the shoe. So that's what kind of surprised me. The GH5 feels extremely lightweight. So I'm guessing like 11 something ounces? Yeah, 11.4 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 11.3 ounces, right? So this actually might be the lightest Anta shoe. Yeah, the Zap one is 12 ounces. The Kai one is like 13.2 ounces, and the Shockwave 5 Pro is around 12.3 ounces. Yeah, so the GH5 is the lightest, but will it be the most responsive? We'll have to see on that. Like I said, the traction is pretty disappointing right now, right? And now moving on to the aesthetics, I really like how this shoe looks. Honestly, like some of the colorways are kind of or maybe it's this colorway that I just really like. I don't know, but I feel like the overall silhouette looks pretty dang nice. And this colorway, you know, with the red and, oh sorry, the red and blue accents look really nice to me. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics, and also what do you guys think looks the best, right? The Shockwave 5 Pro, the GH5, the Zap 1, or the Kai 1? As far as like Anta's hoop shoes go, what do you guys think looks the best? Tell us down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, so I mean, I really like how this shoe feels, right? The cushion is a little bit of a disappointment comparing to all the other like Anta hoop shoes, but it still feels nice comparing to like a normal like Nike, Adidas, or Under Armour hoop shoe that's like 100, 120 bucks, you know, like a little more on the budget side of things, right? This is 110 bucks. So for the price, like it's a really nice cushioning set of full length N2 foam. It's just not as nice as like the other shoes, but like I said, it might get better once I play in it, right? But the most disappointing thing is the traction, right? So hopefully that does break in. But other than that, I really like how this shoe feels. Like it's lightweight, it's very minimal for the upper. The cushion does overall feel nice. It feels supported, lockdown feels good so far. So that about wraps it up for my first impressions look on the Anta GH5. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.